describe, in order to contextualize our discussion on the value chain, the characteristics of the industry. And then I'll also flash some slides just so we'll have an idea as well as to the coverage of the industry, but with respect to our Philippine standard industry classification, Mr. Chair. So if I may share my slides. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, let me start. Well, the textile and fashion industry value chain is a very complex value chain. You need to have a satisfied customer. You need R&D to do that, and you also need top-notch education programs. You need a core of highly skilled professionals and related skills such as fashion communication, graphic design, logistics and demand chain management, fashion curation, and so on. Fashion is also defined or described as integrating different interests, different needs and expectations into textile expressions based on aesthetics, functions, and economy. Fashion and home textiles also usually include home furnishings, and fashion and retailing are also integrated, particularly for large brands. At the same time, fashion and distribution are integrated, and this would cover activities such as development, distance selling, and now e-commerce. Fashion and clothing, we also see that they would be characterized by design, artistic and creation perspectives, and sustainable society, taking into account health, well-being, and environment. And so in the development of the industry, what would be required based on the cases that we're seeing globally would be a high degree of innovation and a high degree of entrepreneurship. So it is in the light of those characteristics that we present to you the very complex textile and fashion value chain, complex as it is, but we can generally classify the different stages based on the following steps. We have design, sales and branding, logistics and sourcing, and then you have production. And as we can see, the value chain is also characterized by the integration of upstream and downstream segments in the value chain to distribution and sales. So you start with the foundation, which is textile. So you have the raw materials, the fibers, synthetic fibers, stream and machinery. And then you have the component and sub-assembly, which would consist of stages such as yarn, spinning, knitting, weaving, cutting, and so on. So then you move into the final assembly, which would entail activities such as sewing and pressing, and then down to distribution, and then again, designs, marketing, and sales. In terms of the characteristics of the Philippine textile and fashion industry, what we're seeing is that textile and fashion are actually treated separately, although as earlier described, the value chain is really deeply integrated. And the reason is the lack of forward and backward linkages, which actually weakened both industries and created a wide disparity between domestic and export-oriented players. Fashion is not vertically rooted due to a weak industrial textile sector, and and hence our fashion industry has remained to be import dependent. I think in the previous presentation, Mr. Chair, I've shown to you various products where the country has a comparative advantage in textile manufacturing. And again, I would like to reiterate that here, our local textile can support a specific special niche of the fashion market. And this is in the development of our tropical fibers. And in the next slide, just to again illustrate the various business models in the industry that have emerged, you see two business models: the vertically integrated, which we don't have, and then you have another model. This is the design, source, and distribute business model. For the vertically integrated, this business model, what we have is the brand owner is also the manufacturer. So it has its own production facilities. So you start from design, then you have fabric, trims production, garment manufacturing, distribution, then you have retail down to the consumers. And as an example, Zara is practicing this particular business model. But for other retailers, like for example, H&M, Next, Marks and Spencer, they have a business model which is called DSD, or design, source, and distribute. In this business model, rather than being vertically integrated, the brand owner, manufacturer, they do not have manufacturing. They do not run their own production facilities, but instead they subcontract garment manufacturing to low-cost countries such as the Philippines. So you still have they still control the design, and on this, in terms of the sourcing, so they subcontract or outsource fabric, trims, production. These are the labor-intensive segments, and garment manufacturing, and then distribution. They also control that. And on the last part, Mr. Chair, just to share as well the different sectors under textile and fashion based on the PSIC. What we have, well, the first one is, as you can see, fashion design. And this would cover design activities related to textiles, wearing apparel, shoes, jewelry, furniture, and other interior decoration and other fashion goods, as well as other personal or household goods. And then for the next sectors, this would be based on the raw material that they are manufacturing. These are activities such as knitting and crocheted fabrics, textile industrial bags, manufacture of canvas products, and then you have mats made of textile materials, embroidered fabrics, narrow fabrics, laces, tools, and other net fabrics, felt and non-woven fabrics. So I won't go over each item one by one, but just to share with you and for us to have an idea as to the level of classification of products and activities that we currently have. So apart from this, then we move on to into
Usec,
garments. Yes, Mr. Chair.
For the benefit of those who are joining us and are not really privy to the PSIC, could you just explain what that is?
Oh, this is the PSIC is the Philippine Standard Industry Classification Code. This provides us the various components, the scope of the different industries, and the classification is up to, this is already the most disaggregated level, and that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of products in front of us. But we can also further aggregate these different sectors into more general or more aggregated sectors down to 3-digit or 2-digit level if you want to integrate similar products or similar activities together. So
so parang this
just
is a
to
state mechanism, Usec, to be able to estimate the value of the fashion industry, diba?
yes, and this is actually the basis as to how the PSA, the Philippine Statistics Authority, is gathering information, gathering economic contribution and other economic indicators such as employment, revenues, costs, value added, assets, including R&D. PSA also collects information on the R&D expenditures of companies, along with raw materials costs, intermediate goods, or whether they are also doing outsourcing, but only domestically. Of course, exports are also being tracked, along with several other economic indicators. So this would keep our system, our system of classifying activities well organized, as well as our data collection. So we're actually using industry definitions based on the PSIC as classified or as created by the PSA. But the PSA also follows standard, international standard classification code. So they did not invent all this way of classifying and organizing sectors, but we actually follow international standards, Mr. Chair.
So meaning to say, Usec, pag mag-mapping and road mapping na yung DTI for the fashion industry, ito yung mga kailangang i-evaluate ng sector kasi baka may mga activities na hindi na-account for dun sa existing framework. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Alright.
This is how we also define the industry and how we keep track of all the information regarding industry performance, like number of workers, number of establishments in the sector. Yes.
Yeah, so meaning to say, for the fashion industry players who are here, parang hindi pa dito accounted for in the existing framework yung services, diba? And hindi pa rin accounted for yung education.
No,
So,
Mr. Chair, those are actually separate codes, and like what I did, I already included fashion design here. Sorry, this is not part of the presentation. I included, since we are looking at the creative industry, I already included fashion design because we have this code in the PSIC. And that's also the reason why I tried to define it, just to ensure that we are being consistent in terms of what we're trying to measure, Mr. Chair. So we have fashion design.
I meant lang Usec yung allied services that are
allied services.
part
No,
of
Mr.
the...
Chair. Like for example, dyeing, washing
I meant,
of textiles, wala pa dito.
Oo,
The education, it's not also here because those would fall under the services under the education sector.
So no, what I meant was kunwari, styling, makeup, yung makeup artist, hairstylist. I mean, these are deeply integrated also kasi as a part of creative services dun sa fashion industry. So, kumbaga,
no, Mr. Chair, they're not
counted as
included. Yes, Mr. Chair, we need to look for if we want, like for example, creative industries, they are not treated as such in the PSIC. But nonetheless, given that we have very detailed disaggregation of economic activities or industry sectors, we can actually combine, put together the different activities under the creative sector and come up with our own grouping. There's nothing, I mean, PSA does not prevent us from doing that, because considering that this is an emerging industry, and hence this has not yet been included or classified as an independent code, Mr. Chair.
All right. Okay. Sorry to have interrupted. Siguro, I just wanted to clarify for those industry players who are joining us for the first time and are not so privy to all of this data, just to give some kind of context. But before you proceed, I just want to acknowledge Congresswoman Joy Tabunting, Congresswoman Ria Vergara, Congressman Coco Nograles, Congressman Yul Servonieto, and our birthday girl, Congresswoman Nika Ko. All right.
Hi, Chair. Thank you.
Hi. Happy birthday.
Good
All
morning,
right.
Chair.
Hi. Good morning. Good afternoon. Okay, Usec, you may proceed. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no. Good afternoon, Your Honors. I'm about to end, Mr. Chair. Actually, it is just a listing really of the various products covered under garments and textiles. So including as since part of the value chain is wholesaling and retail. So I've identified those sectors as well. And these are wholesale of textile fabrics, wearing apparel, made-up textile goods, articles of clothing, footwear, embroideries, leather and leather goods, Mr. Chair. So that's the last slide, Mr. Chair.
May isa ka pa atang slide.
Mr. Chair, I think the performance of the industry is going to be presented later as well by PFC. So I am no longer presenting the remaining slides. They would pertain to the performance. But I think they're also going to present some of those slides, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you so much, Usec Fita.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right. So now we'll move on to the presentation of the Philippine Fashion Coalition, and they will be giving us a situationer on the fashion industry.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Hi, good afternoon.
My name is Carissa Evangelista, and we would like to thank you for this opportunity for the consult with Congress and the Achieve Group who are present here today. We'd like to acknowledge and thank also Deputy Speaker Congresswoman Baby Arenas and Congresswoman Ria Vergara, Congresswoman Ana Villarasa Suarez, Representative Nieto, Chair Congresswoman Sharon Garin, and Representative Joy Tamunding, and a happy birthday to Congresswoman Nika Ko. So we would also like to thank the agencies who are present, DOST, PTRI, SITEM, Design Center, of course, DTI with Usec Fita Aldaba, who just presented earlier, TESDA, NCCA, NCIP, DOT, CSE, DepEd, Assured from DOST, the IPO office, PhilFida, and DepEd. So with the invitation that was extended by Congress to all these agencies, we know that a lot of positive changes will happen, and we trust in our leaders, and we are very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much, Chairman Tofte Venecia. And with that, I'd like to start. I'm from the Philippine Fashion Coalition. We are a national group or a coalition of fashion practitioners who would like to promote, preserve, and protect Filipino culture, preserve, foster, and foster talent, domestic talent and design, and optimize our country's resources and competitive advantages. Next slide, please. What we hope to do is to be the unifying driving force in the fashion industry to transform our industry into a leading competitive player within the global fashion industry. What is key with us is that we are inclusive and collaborative. So we would like to invite all the government agencies to please work with us so we can work on a fashion roadmap for both for the textile and for the fashion industry in coordination with all of you and with BOI and with the group of Usec Vita who will be creating a roadmap. Thank you so much, Chairman Toff, for the insertion within Congress, so we'd be able to do this under the creative industry. We would also like to stress the professionalism and innovation within our group, and we hope to be able to project the goals of our goals and plans of our fashion industry into something that would be doable and results oriented. Next slide, please. As mentioned by Chairman Toff earlier, these are the 4 sectors that we champion. We have education that would include the fashion schools. So we're very happy and glad that DepEd is present with us today. So for tertiary education and both vocational, thank you so much also Testa for supporting us. We will be coordinating with you as we develop our human capital. We have our creative services that we hope can be part of our roadmap as as it would be integral in the development also of our industry. I understand what Usec Vita Aldaba had mentioned earlier. Usually the value chain of a fashion industry would be defined by it could be like from the fiber to the dyeing and washing. But with our group, we would like to embrace also the creative services that are very intrinsic to the growth of our industry. We also have the textile arts and crafts that would include our indigenous or cultural textiles, and also the manufacturing of the textile mills. We also have our artisan crafts that would include also the basket makers and the accessory makers and our cultural communities. Uh, that's why we are very glad that NCCA and NCIP are present here also today, and we are very appreciative of their support. For the design industry, this is something, as you had said in an earlier meeting, Chair Toff, that it's important that all the stakeholders get together. This is a chance now for everyone to get together, from the smaller apparel designers up to the groups like Conwep that would have also manufacturing for subcontracting. So at least all their numbers are counted. We have Filipino-owned manufacturing for the like brands like Plains and Prints, and we hope to invite companies like bigger companies like Bench and also Pen Shop that are also the Filipino retailers. As part of our ecosystem, we're going to be working with the textile millers, and also some of the traders, and aside from the artisan brands. And we have present with us Mr. P from the Footwear Federation, so we can work all together on how to revive our footwear industry. Next slide, please. For today, we're going to be covering would be the fashion industry situationer, our value chain analysis, and have a policy discussion on 2 important projects and policies uh, that we would like to promote uh, with Congress and with the government agencies that are present. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I would like to invite